So today I want to talk about how your mind works when you're getting social. That some of the elements and attributes of when you are social with people, when you are connected with people, are very important that you need to hit. And if you're not hitting these things, then we have to look at some other alternatives of how you're going to learn how to talk to people. So where this comes from is we're on our Be Social challenge, and there's a gentleman here that's very frustrated because a lot of people aren't respecting him, because wherever he goes, he gets judged, he gets ridiculed, he gets looked down upon because of perhaps his status, his political beliefs, who he is as a man, and so on. He is not given the chance to be able to talk to people. And this is something that we hear a lot that we've heard, ever since I started teaching in the pickup days. We hear it more and more in a politically fueled world, and we hear it more and more, especially in the Manosphere, when we're looking at the red pill communities, the MGTOW communities, and so on. Now, what I want to get into here is that when we're social, the main thing that we need to be looking for isn't money, power, status, all these types of things. What we need to be looking for when we're getting social is a feeling of a part of and connectedness. If we're not feeling that a part of with people, that we are unified with others, then there's something that we're doing wrong about being social, and we're not actually getting the right result that is going to make us happy and fulfilled. And that may not be the answer that you're looking for, but what I want to explain, and what I've explained in hundreds and hundreds of videos and different tutorials and calls and all the different stuff that I've taught over the years, which has been proven to work, is that those desires for money, power, status, power over people, a lot of an excess of abundance, all those things generally come from a reaction to some sort of pain you feel about being powerless or not having enough or scarcity and so on. So this might be something that doesn't sound good to you. It's like, man, these things that I want women, I'm justified by them, I want the right people in my life. Steve, man, the world has a problem, show me how to combat it, show me how to get more power, money, status, these are all good things, I get that. But in all of this is a mindset of scarcity, which I know I just talked about, that we see consistent. And one of the biggest problems that I saw in pickup was guys who were looking to be social, get sexual, connect with women, have regular social lives, had something else going on other than just a technique fixing their problems. And so what I mean by that is, if you're a man and you go to, let's say, a cafe, or you go out there in the world and you're following all the rules and you're doing everything right, and yet people are judging you, there might be a bigger problem that's going to be solved by face-to-face interaction with somebody. And if this is happening all the time to you, where you go out in the world and the world judges you, I would really advise you not to find the solution in what I'm teaching, what pickup is teaching, what a men's coach is teaching, what the red pill is teaching, what the Manosphere is teaching. I would really recommend, and I'll give you a reason for this, is to go see a therapist, a psychologist, or psychiatrist, not because there is something wrong with you, but there could be something that needs to be solved by a face-to-face interaction. Now, let me just tell you how this could go wrong in a lot of ways. There were so many guys that came into the dating and seduction scene that had something going on. Maybe they had a massive perception problem that was there due to some sort of trauma or something that from their childhood and so on. Maybe they just didn't have somebody working with them directly to point that out. But there were also people who had a problem that they might be bipolar. I've even had borderline males. I've had guys who were schizophrenic come to me and not know the answer over and over again. And I'm not saying that you have any of those things by any means, but I'm saying that you need somebody who is face-to-face with you, that is a professional, that's used to dealing with a wide range of people in order to understand really what's going on. But a guy who is just giving you advice online, that's a men's coach that most likely isn't that experienced, is not somebody that you want to be talking to. And even myself, who has a lot of experience working with guys who might have other things going on, like they might have addiction issues, they might have some emotional issues, they might be bipolar in different ways, they might be manic, so on. Still, you absolutely have to seek a mental health professional to deal with those things specifically while working with me. Now, if that's not you, if that you're not seeing that you're constantly judged, the world is against you, that you are not breaking any rules, and still people come across you all the time, judging you, belittling you, betraying you, making you feel not a part of, and that it's just a few unique situations, then let's go on and talk about what we can do in this. Okay, so we want to get social, yet we find judgment over and over again. The number one thing that is going to happen in all of this is that you have to change your output. I can guarantee you, if you are seeing that people are against you over and over and over again, yet you're following all the rules, there's something off about what you're doing. Or there's something off about your reaction to people and their initial expression with you, which might be like, hey man, you're doing the wrong thing. You need to start changing that. Now, how do we change that? First off, I gotta see it. I gotta see what you're doing. Now, I'm not saying this because I want you to just not take into consideration that somebody should see you, look at you, and observe these things who is skilled in giving social dynamics advice like myself. But I am saying that you need to start in a place where you can get socially functional with people, because once you start to gain that feeling a part of and connectiveness with people, then your belief system's gonna start to change, and that is gonna shift. So if you just start getting good experiences one after the other, your belief system will shift. But you acting how you're acting now, that's not happening. And I can tell you right now, in traveling all around the world, no matter what my political beliefs are or how they differ, I get along with people. I get along with a lot of people. I went around the US interviewing people about American culture in 2005, and asked people who had extremely different political beliefs from myself and so on, and hung out with them and got along with pretty much all of them. In fact, I don't think there was somebody, there were a few that did not get along with me, but that's like 1 out of 30 people. It was very minimal. So what we need to do is start integrating into society and culture in a very passive, easy way. And this means going to places where people are social with you. So going to places where we can hang out in a cafe, we could hang out at a Whole Foods, we can hang out in a place where there are a lot of people around, and we don't need to talk to them all. We don't need to approach them. We don't need to oppose ourselves on them. But first and foremost, we need to get in touch with the environment. So much of dating advice, social skills, of even what we see in the Manosphere has to do with us gaining power over people rather than being a part of, because if we're a part of society, it's dangerous and it might kill us and so on and yada, yada, yada. I get the argument. But if you can learn to be a part of, you can do a lot. And the reason why I say that is that if you take this sort of mentality and you go to a bar, but you don't go to a bar to do what you do in a bar, which might be to drink, watch TV, socialize with people, and you go there just to get something and pick up chicks, and you're only there to pick up chicks, but you buy a drink just because you're supposed to, but you're not into the bar, you'll have a lot of problems with that. A good example of this is yoga. Everybody who does yoga says yoga is great for meeting women. It's like 85% female, and there's tons of beautiful women in there, but they go there and they're like, man, I couldn't pick up chicks there. But because, you know why? Because you weren't in the environment. If you go to yoga to meet women, you have to be into yoga, meaning that you have to do yoga, that you have to like it, that you should enjoy it. And when you do that, the whole world opens up because you're not resisting the environment. So, first and foremost, we learn to accept ourselves in an environment. This is important. Do not discredit this. This is something that I do. This is something that every single person in my groups who is at a high level of social dynamics does. This is something that you need to do. If you're not doing this, you're screwing up. All right, so getting social when we feel that we're not having the best luck and we don't have an issue where we need to see a mental health professional around, and really there's no shame in that. This is good. I really think everybody should be doing that just to keep in check, because there's so many ways where this could go wrong. But let's check it out. So what we want to do is we want to get integrated in an environment first on how to be social. So much about pickup, the Manosphere, the red pill, is traditionally and just still seems to be about how we need to override society, that if we have the right information, if we have the right tools, that we could beat society rather than be a part of society. And I get it. Society can suck. It may have screwed you in all sorts of ways, but here's the deal, is that we have to integrate in it. And if we want to get results, there's a few things we have to do. Number one is we have to get into our environment. For instance, if you're going to a cafe and you don't want to do what people do in a cafe, which is study, buy coffee, eat pastries, hang out, enjoy yourself. If you cannot be that person, then it will be very hard to do anything within that cafe. I know this sounds crazy, but Pickup pretty much proved that if you just go to a bar to pick up chicks and you don't do the things that are enjoyable in a bar, you have a much harder time and will almost guarantee failure in doing that. Perfect example of this is yoga. Yoga is 85% women. There's a lot of great women who do yoga. But here's the deal. If you go to yoga, and this happens all the time, there's these guys in my groups who do yoga and they're like, oh my God, I just date endless amounts of women. So then these dudes go and do yoga and they're like, man, I tried to talk to these girls and they just got mad at me. Here's the deal. All those guys who are doing well with women are doing yoga because they enjoy it and it's something that they like doing. Like they were into yoga first, and then they learned basic, passable social skills, and they were able to get dates and all these other things that come down to it. So if we only go to an environment to get what we think we don't have, which might be women, which might be, you know, power, social acceptability, respect, all these different things, we're going to run into a lot of problems. So how do we do that? We get in touch with our environments, and that is very, very important. So number one is start going to an environment, being a part of what it does, doing all of that. And once again, if you say, but I've done that, and I still get judged, that might put you into where you need to see a professional. In fact, there's no might about that. That puts you into something where you're talking to the wrong person. You're talking to me for advice. You need to talk to somebody face to face. Now, once again, there's a wide spectrum of that. That doesn't mean you're mentally ill. Pretty much anybody who's in some sort of addiction recovery, they have the same problem, right? And it gets addressed and taken care of in there, but you need to do something that to get that. The world is not against you. The world is not against you. The world can absorb many different types of people. People that are super left-leaning that I may talk to today, and let's say I'm really, really right-leaning, and I'm not either. I think politics is so stupid. We're all trying to live with one another, whatever. If you're really political, I get it, but they can get along. A super right, a super left-leaning person, a leftist and an alt-right person can get along. It can totally happen. If you think that it can't happen and you're just the middle of the road sort of guy, or maybe a little bit leaning on one side, you have either a perception problem, there's something that you're putting out there that's a problem. Anyway, you've heard the whole thing. Go see somebody, see a therapist, see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and talk to them about it. Get diagnosed. Say that you talked to a social coach, and because of the things that you thought, had him recommend to go see you so you can start in the right place and not start about something that is irrelevant to the situation. In any case, let's go to number 2. Okay, so the next thing that we got to do is we have to learn some entry-level social skills that don't encase a lot of pressure, but we're able to accomplish using very little investment on us, but also very little demand on other people. This is very, 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 very important. And so how we do this is the Be Social Challenge really is all about this, and I would highly recommend you looking at those different things so that you can kind of get the different exercises. But things like making a statement, making observational statements. Whoa! Stop, wind, just stop. So doing things like making a statement, doing things like observational statements, doing things like making even personal statements. So there's a distinction that we have in the Be Social Challenge. You can make impersonal statements, or you can make personal statements. A personal statement might be like a compliment, or it might be something about how they dress. An impersonal statement might be about the weather, and so on. But where we want to go with these things, and if you do the Be Social Challenge, you'll see how they can stack up to a super high level of, man, really awesome social mastery. And it is kind of cool in the Be Social Challenge because not only do you have stuff for this sort of thing, but you also learn how to move that beginner level or social anxiety level or this high judgment level into a level where you're, how do I say it? Intermediate or advanced. My brain's early and it's like 8 or something right now. Oh gosh, waking up is hard to do. So this is important, and I know you might be going like, but Steve, show me how to get chicks, show me how to achieve power. I want women in these ways, and why can't I have it? I deserve it, I'm a great person. Look, I get it. Just listen to what I'm saying. I've been doing this a long time, and this is really how you get chicks or whatever, or be happy. But this thing of feeling a part of by being your expression is super, super important. But the be social part is not just it. I would really recommend doing the challenge to get yourself squared away with it. It's awesome. It's really affordable. Links down below. But in all of that, what I need from you is that feeling of being a part of connectedness. Remember, that's it. That's the thing I want. If you can't get that, then we're kind of screwed. So let's ensure that we get that with the third thing. Now, why would this be important? Why do people need to see you for you? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if people see you for society, status, money, power, all those different things, you're gonna always want to be unfulfilled. There's a reason why you're so pissed off that people are judging you for being you and not being at their social status. So if you get to their social status and you achieve results, it's gonna make you even more mad and more unsatisfied and all that sort of stuff. And I know that might be hard to understand if you're really pissed off about that, but if you're constantly angry about stuff or fearing judgment, then it's almost impossible for you to relax. So, in all of this, guys, what did we learn? We learned that we need to be in our environment, that we need to get connected. Most important of all of this, we need to have a feeling of connection, and that if we don't have that, we're not gaining the benefits of being social. We learned that if there are certain problems where we're overly judgmental or fearful of society and culture, in all situations, that we need to not look at pickup stuff or red pill stuff or Manosphere stuff, and we need to look at seeing a mental health professional that can properly guide us in the right direction. And there might not be something wrong with you, it's just you need to be looking at the right way to solve this problem. And you need to get social in a basic way. You need to inventory yourself in a basic way, and most importantly, you need to be part of that environment, not against that environment in all these different ways. So hopefully this helps you. If it doesn't, I just sacrificed myself being eaten by flies that bite, and it really hurts, man, for this video. And man, anyway, I'm sorry if that's the case. No, look, I've been doing this a long time. Hopefully this works out for you, and let me know if there are any questions. Goodbye.